Thank you. Seems slowly people are trickling in. I'm debating, it's 9:01. Should we start because we're supposed to start at 9? Or give a few more minutes to break up the party? Is pretty much everybody in? All right, the doors are closed. Please take a seat. Good morning. My name is Shantanu Vandapadhyay. As president of MJC, it's my distinct pleasure to welcome each one of you to Fall 2022 Institute Day. What a time has it been for the last 30 months when we did a variety of dances to make sure we cater to our students. But what we missed the most was the company of each other, the conversation that we have over a cup of coffee. And as much as I hate to break up the conversation, unless we start at some point of time, we will be here till 6 o'clock in the evening. Which I don't necessarily mind, but some of you may. We have other things to do also. So let's get started. Let me begin by introducing some of the distinguished guests that we have amongst us. From Yosemite Community College Board of Trustees, we have Trustee Leslie Beggs, and Trustee Nancy Hinton. I did not say any other trustee. Did I miss anyone? Okay. I also have my boss, the Chancellor of Yosemite Community College District, Chancellor Henry Young. From the district office, we have Vice Chancellor of Money, Trevor Stewart. At this time, I would request Chancellor Young to come up to the podium and welcome everyone. Chancellor Young.
Thank you. I'm really glad to see all of us here. And if we look back on the last 30 months, 3 years or so, we've come a long way. And I'm really glad that the worst is past. And people are coming back, more students are coming back. And my wish is that we can give our students a great student life experience this semester. You know, a lot of students are complaining that taking classes in online is just not the same as being on campus and in a class. So here's an opportunity for our students to get a real student life on campus. And they're looking to all of us to give them that real student life experience. So my best wishes to all of you for the great fall semester. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Young. How do I encapsulate the journey of last 30 months that we have seen since March of 2020 until this date? What has it been like? Let's try to do that in the next 5 minutes or so. Now, those of you who are at the back, you cannot read this one. This was the first thing that we saw in 2020. The school will be closed for the next 2 weeks. Remember that time? March 2020? And we're so happy. School is closed for 2 weeks. Yay! We can do it from home. It's fun. It sounds great. And after some time, there are bad news also. COVID is spreading. some fear. Let's move. Let's go to the next one. Yeah. Remember that time? I don't know why. We all went to the store, bought lots of toilet paper and went back home. I was asked by many of my friends all over the world, what is the relationship? I'm still trying to figure it out. If you know the answer, let me know. Let's roll. And then came the online class. The students said, it doesn't matter what am I doing, I'm stretching, I'm squatting down, I'm doing. Teacher sees my face, I'm good. Some were very creative. They just put a picture there and walked away from the desk and thought that, yeah, I'm still there. And when it came to 2021, students started saying, it was my entire freshman year, and I sat at my bedroom, I sat at my home. What was college like? I did not want this experience. I'm lonely. I want to mix with people. And the creative juices started flowing. Let's go. Back to work. Come on, let's do this, simulate something. Variety of creativity going on. Remember those times? Work from home. What was initially very much fun. Oh my God. And we all tried to define what's the new normal. Let's move. That was a very hair-raising, no new normal situation that all of us have witnessed. Go to the next one. This is the moment the realization came why we have a teacher shortage in the country. When the teachers are doing so many of the roles, and all of you, the faculty members here and those who supported the students, kudos to all of you how you managed that. But yeah, that was the situation that many of us could identify with. And the fallout of that, let's move one more. Hope you can read it at the back. Because there is a teacher shortage, we had our grades up. Welcome to fall 2020, when we finally have some semblance of whatever is going to be the new normal. And now we are back onto the campus. We see each other as an individual. We can share a cup of coffee, and we'll move on from there. Now, during the last 30 months, many of you have come to this college who did not have the opportunity of knowing who your colleagues are. The list, when I started compiling, was really long. And chances are, you've seen some of those, and we would keep on showing those names as we go forward at different times of break. Please take a moment to introduce yourself, if you have been here for long enough, to one of your new colleagues. And the new colleagues who are new here, please make sure you break the ice, go ahead and talk to someone that you have not talked to or not known in course of the last 12 months that you would have otherwise had we all been in campus. There are many of us. Chances are, if you look to your left and you look to your right, you'll find somebody who has either taken a new position or has joined new to the MJC family in course of the last 12 months or last 20 months. At this time, may I request all of you who have either moved into a new role or who have come from outside the MJC family to stand up. That is enormous. When we have such a large number of people coming into us, it is upon us. How do we connect with each one of them? And how do we maintain the family that MJC has been for the last 100 years? It takes a lot for us to know each other and to have those water cooler discussions. And it's my hope that this semester, as we get along, we make new friends. And your task begins today. Before the end of the day, if you can know one new person at least, and for the new ones, you know one of the folks outside your department that you have not known before, at least you have made a beginning. We will see at the break time how many of you are just flocking together to those and catching up. I haven't seen you in the last 20 months, versus, hey, welcome to the new family. There's no prize for that, but we will still keep an eye on it. How does that go? No celebration is complete without recognizing those who have achieved some significant accomplishments in course of the last 20 months. Now, when I talk about significant accomplishment, it is to make sure that all of you have contributed enormously for the success of our students and this journey that MJC has gone through in the last 20 months. But some of you have excelled in certain areas. And this college has a tradition of certain awards to recognize those who have walked far and above and beyond, to support our students and to advance the mission of the college. One such award that we give on the Institute Day in fall is the Purdy Awards. Let's move the slide to the next one. And to offer the Purdy Awards, now I would invite to the stage my colleague, Emily Lawrence. For those of you who do not know Emily, she is no stranger to us. She has been here with us. She has been teaching in MJC for quite some time. But now this summer she has also transitioned into a new role of the Executive Director of MJC Foundation. Emily.
Thank you. I've already received such a warm welcome. It has been wonderful. So I will echo the sentiments. Welcome back, everyone, to our new normal. I realize if I'd been wearing a tie, you surely would have known I was the new MJC Executive Director of the Foundation, but I couldn't find one to match my outfit. So I'm very excited to join the MJC family, and I look forward to getting to know each and every one of you. I'm thrilled that one of my first tasks here is to recognize individuals who have impacted lives. Our enrollment would not be up if you weren't the enigmatic, engaging, and enthusiastic group that you clearly are. The Purdy Award has a long and distinguished honor roll of MJC personnel whose characteristics have impressed their colleagues, teammates, friends, and most of all, our students. Established in 1995 by Raymond and Carolyn Purdy, this award for faculty recognizes distinguished performance and excellence in teaching, an excellence of service in the classified and management sectors. And we present this award at Institute Day to celebrate the accomplishments of our peers and our college for making a difference in the lives of so many in our community. It also helps us get the year started on a celebratory note. It is my honor to present this year's awards. Since I have only just started, however, I had to reach out for thoughts on and impressions of the honorees. This gave me a chance to get to know more people on campus and get a feel for the Purdy recipients. The first award today, going out for classified professional, is a bit unusual as it invokes images of classic duos, Batman and Robin, Scooby-Doo and Shaggy, Bert and Ernie. This joint award goes to a team whose work might sometimes go unrecognized as they tend to operate behind the scenes. Rob Stevenson noted these two are fantastic examples of servant leadership, and their dedication and patience with others inspires those they work with to give it their all too. Mike Sundquist, dragged for thoughts from recent retirement, informed me that one recipient has the ability to look at found objects and turn them into fantastic stage props and scenery. He specializes in dinosaurs and dragons. The other half of this dynamic duo, according to Mike, loves to create beautiful lighting designs and has transformed lighting into state-of-the-art support for our student productions. I am sure it is coming clear as to who these recipients are. And if you hadn't already guessed, both nominators with whom I spoke could not fail to mention the, and I'm quoting here, remarkable, genius, innovative, and amazing centennial celebrating 4th of July parade float. Clearly a credit to the college through their dedication to their craft and imparting this knowledge to the multitude of students who are carving careers from our performing arts program. The 2022 Purdy Award for Classified Staff Excellence goes to Ty Helton and Kevin Saunders.
Go to the next slide.
Material and the people I talked to, clearly you all knew this was very deserving. Our next Purdy Award goes to a faculty member who demonstrates their commitment to students, possesses the unique skill of creating a collegial atmosphere in and out of the classroom, and exemplifies a dedication to improving our community and connections we make through our students. From nominators Mike Smedshammer and Rob Stevenson, this recipient has a relentless, tireless work ethic and has had for over 20 years. This person also has an active voice and speaks up, advocates for students, and contributes ideas. In reading through the nomination, I could not help but notice the many references to work done outside of the college that has impacted members in this area who are having difficulties in transitions to this community, this state, and this country. Chad Redwing, former Purdy recipient, had this to say about today's award winner. This person is deeply committed to the ideal of transformative education and demonstrates this one student at a time with displays of empathy, creativity, joy, and inspiring engagement. Jillian Daly continued this praise, saying, "It's hard to capture in a few words the exhaustive and tireless amount of work this person invests in our school and our community. This person constantly asks, what's next? And where can I support those in need now?" The quote that I felt defined this person was, "They do more than talk the talk, and more even than walk the walk." The 2022 Purdy Award for Faculty Excellence goes to Ruth Lumen.
Thank you.
I don't know what I'm doing up here, but I do know that I feel like I am the luckiest person to be able to work with our immigrant and refugee students, our English learners, to work with all of you who I find incredibly inspiring, and you challenge me and you teach me something every day. And I think it's very clear that in the big picture, I'm very much the fortunate one. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to present the Purdy Awards to these three amazing individuals who clearly represent the larger college family we have here at MJC. I feel so incredibly fortunate that this was my first task. So with that note, have a great start to the semester. Thank you.
For those of you who have not seen the float on the 4th of July parade, please take a look at those pictures. That was mind-blowing. Hi, and Kevin, what you have done, that was great. And for Ruth, what can I say? When I came here last summer, that was the time that Afghan crisis was happening. And there were many refugees out here who needed some support. And she was with it. And that's why we at the Communities College, we build connections with the community each day through our actions, both inside and outside the classroom. And all these 3 recipients are a moving example of that. Congratulations again. Another round of applause for these 3. Now it's my turn to call to the podium Dean Patrick Bittencourt and Dr. Mike Schmidhammer. For the Online Educator of the Year Award. The floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody.
So since 2014, students and faculty have nominated the MJC Online Instructor of the Year. And this instructor should be recognized for creating an outstanding online experience for our students and contributing to the online program at MJC. Past recipients include Jesus Navarro, Jessica Brennan, Tony Pacheco, Nita Gopal, Steve Miller, Rob Stevenson, Amy Jeffy, Kim Duran, and Becky Gaines.
This year, there were 341 nominations. Your students love you. Of this year's award winner, one colleague writes that the winner is piloting an online adaptive learning platform in a new course that serves underprepared students in the area. The person also did an excellent job building an online ZTC course.
A student wrote, "This professor's commitment to the subject and teaching it to students really shows and can easily be spotted from their ways of teaching. This professor is probably the best teacher I've had my whole life." The professor starts from the basics and fundamentals and builds up to the big concepts in a way every student who's paying attention knows what's going on and is never lost. This professor is the best.
Another student writes, "This professor teaches in a presentation way through Zoom, and I like that a lot because it provides visual aid on what to do and how to do the work. In addition, the Zoom meetings are recorded, which helps us refresh our memory and finish notes if we didn't get them all. The lab work is very easy to understand and presented in a very helpful style. For example, putting pictures on the instructions to tell us where to go and where to find things."
A colleague explains, "She not only embraced the HiFlex teaching modality when it was literally brand new last spring, but has become a local expert and has demonstrated this new technology to her colleagues across the campus." And my favorite comment, when a person told her that this HiFlex thing couldn't be done, her response was, "Hold my beer."
Another student put it succinctly, "She's swag," and very approachable. So you may have noticed her this week presenting all over the place on HiFlex, including an open house happening this afternoon from 3 to 5 in Founders Hall, room 154 and 178. So please stop by. The 2022 Online Instructor of the Year also happens to be a new full-time hire in the math department. Congratulations, Jenny Long.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is an honor.
Jenny, I have to admit in public, I still owe you a visit to your classroom.
Yes, you do. You still owe me a visit.
There are not many times that I get an invitation from a faculty member to go and visit their classroom. That was Jenny last semester, and she said, I am teaching this class, why don't you come over to my class any of the days, these are the times. And I promised her that yes, I'll be there. I did not fulfill my promise. My apologies. I will do this semester, for sure. Check me out on the Spring Institute Day. All right, so let's see what have we been doing in the last so many months and where MJC stands today. Let's spend a few moments in talking about MJC, our journey, our accomplishment, and where we are heading. Let's move on. There has been a lot to celebrate about in MJC when we were in this lockdown situation, COVID-19, and so on and so forth. I've just listed only a few accomplishments out here, and those are more focused on how we've been building our connection with the community. We had a beer garden at our campus after about 10 years or so. That was a hot summer afternoon with a bunch of very old cars, which I don't have any fascination for, but many people do. And it was great to see some of those power muscle cars and people mingling around in the campus, enjoying our campus. We also enjoyed walking down the streets of Modesto in our float that Kevin and Ty and many others put together. Some claim they painted it well. I still have a contest on awesome. I still go after Brian that the part that he has painted, there were some marks out there that was visible. I don't know whether that was true. We did all of those. Apart from that, what's not listed there are many, many other accomplishments also. Things such as we have started a course in collaboration with Frito-Lay. When many of the industries are talking about we need people, we do not have people, how do we create those courses? Dean Mendes went out, talked to them. We have those bunch of working students who are facilitated by their employer to come and take a college course so that they can advance their career. And based on that, we're looking at how we can expand our connection with the community to even go to the Manufacturing Council and strengthen our relationship between the business and the campus. We are a partner of Amazon's Career Choice program. Now, whatever you think about Amazon as a company or how they treat their employees, the point is Amazon is willing to pay for their employees to come and take a college course, and Modesto Junior College is one of their partners. And you know that Amazon has thousands of employees in this area who can benefit from a college course. So there are many other accomplishments like that was going on. One that I'm really proud about is our baccalaureate degree program. We were recognized as one of the top 20 best practices across the nation. And I emphasize that it was not in California, it's across the nation. That was one of the best practices. Although we have accomplished a lot, let's go to the next slide. Yes, the challenges still continue statewide. And this is a statewide representation of what we saw last couple of days back from the Chancellor's office, that is the State Chancellor's office. If you look at the male population versus female population, MJC anyway had fewer number of male students coming to us. Generally, ratio in higher education is about 55 to 45 in favor of women. MJC was hovering around 65 to 35. And during the pandemic, male student population across the state declined by almost 18%. When you're contrasting that, female population also took a hit, but about 10% or so. Significantly, new students who are coming to the campus, that has gone down by 37%. And needless to say, whenever we are talking about all of these numbers, students who need us the most, students from underrepresented minorities, students from lower socioeconomic strata of the society, they could not partake in education. And when we bring the campus back, we have to be intentional about the fact that how do we bring this campus back together with a focus to all of those students that we have lost over the last so many months. Now, there are a number of reasons we can all hypothesize why we lost these students. And there is no end to that discussion. Let's move on. Some of the things that I was jotting down, and many of you know, college students are now facing a variety of insecurities. We have insecurities from food, shelter, mental health, anxiety, safety, security. Each are important issues. And when I hear right now, there's a lot of debate about why the college costs are going up. This morning I was hearing, college costs have gone up by X percentage over the last X number of years. I came to California in 2009. When I was an administrator, we were not talking about food insecurity or shelter insecurity for the college students that need to be addressed by the college. How do we do that? There is no point in saying, hey, you take care of the hunger of the students, but there is no funding. So if you have to fund that, and in MJC, we try to address those issues, but each of those initiatives cost money, and that adds to the cost of college. We are committed to our students that unless we address these basic needs, it is futile to expect that somebody would come when they're anxious, when they don't know where they're staying, when they don't know what they're eating, or other kind of insecurity, they would be successful in the classroom. So it is for us to make sure that we reach out to the students from the institutional perspective, create all the platforms so that we can provide these services to the students, and for all of us to communicate that this is available for the students. So that's a peculiar situation that, yes, we create some facilities. People don't know about it. When they don't know about it, they cannot partake in those options. Also are the facts that when we're talking about shelter insecurity or food insecurity, nobody feels good to talk about this. There's a stigma associated with that. How do we create a campus which welcomes everyone, which tells everyone that, you know what, we understand where you're coming from. We are here. We are providing all the resources that you need to be successful. We have it for you. And there is no associated guilt, or it's not your fault. If you can overcome this using all these resources, then you can be a productive member of the society, a productive member of our community, and we all can flourish together. And that's what we need to focus on. How do we address each of these needs for the student, both inside the classroom and outside the classroom? Now, it's easy to say that we would address those needs. It's easy to say we would reform something, we challenge something. Let's go to the next slide. How do we change as an organization which is 1,000 people strong, which caters to 20,000 students approximately, which has so many different facets of operation, funding issues, a variety of collaboration issues? What are our keys of addressing many of those situations? Now we can say that, you know what, let's reflect. Yeah, any problem solving, our faculty members would confirm that probably, agree with me. We need to reflect on a problem before we start to see how we can solve it. We reflect, we contemplate what are the potential solutions, we review those, we bring those reflections onto the table, we start talking about those. That still does not show us the path. We have to realign some of our practices, we have to do some redesigns, we have to respond to the specific needs, and finally, when we've accomplished all of those conversations, we can probably move towards reform. I, as the president of the college, do not have all the wisdom. I do not interact with the students regularly, and I cannot do this, or the executive staff cannot do this alone. You, all of you, interact with the students. So when you have the students' issues, concerns, what is being a barrier for them, you get to know about those. I would look forward to all of you that bring those issues forward. Let's reflect on those. Let's think about looking at our processes in the middle. How can we reform those processes so we can become a better institution? This is no single person's job. This is a collective job for all of us. And if only we do this collectively, we will be successful in this environment. Now let me elaborate on that a little bit more. You have seen the whole online dilemma What exactly was happening in the online world? Students initially were jubilant. Yes, online classes, I'll go for it. It's great fun. Then they started talking about, I'm disengaged. I feel lonely. I don't feel that I'm partaking in education. And now I hear two dichotomous information from the campus or from the students. A, I like the convenience of online. I don't like the disengagement of online. Now those are two dichotomous information. How do we bring them together and solve that? Yes, they like the flexibility. No, they don't like being alone and sitting in their living room. And we have to mix both of them together. There is no easy solution to that. Now many of you know that my background is in data. And whenever I get that information, I try to look at the numbers to see how the numbers are stacking up with what we are hearing from the students. As of now, if you're looking at our fall semester, our enrollments are positive. It is better than most in the state. We are going in the right direction. We are up, whereas the state is going down. When we dissect that further, this semester, like in any other main terms, MJC offers about 1,700 sections altogether, give or take some. This semester is no exception. About 700 sections are online, about 700 on campus, about 300 hybrid. So if you split it up again, it's about 40%, 40%, 20%, give or take some. I'm just rounding it off grossly. Any guess what are the fill rates in these sections? Like online versus on-campus versus hybrid? And by fill rate, we mean if a class has a capacity of 100, if we have 60 students in the class, fill rate is 60%. That is 60% of the seats are taken. So let's do a straw poll. And those of you who know the data, Brian, you are excluded from this conversation. You are not going to comment on this. Out of the online, hybrid, and on-campus, which sections, overall, not your individual section, overall, which section has the highest fill rate? Online. You're right on that. Now let me ask you another question then. What kind of difference would be there in terms of fill rate between online and on-campus? Difference is, if online is, let's say 90%, on-campus is 70%, we're talking about a 20% gap. What is the gap you think is there? 45%? 25%? Any other guess? 30%? You know, let's reflect on this and see this little bit from a historic perspective. Our spring semester, we also had larger number of spring students than we had the previous spring. The gap between online and on-campus was 25% in spring semester. In fall semester, it's about 14% or so. Now, there is a lesson out there that yes, gap exists, people like the convenience, but people also appreciate the engagement on the campus. So it's not an either-or situation, but it is a situation that we have to see how we can bring the student experience to them. Some of the areas that you all have been doing it and doing it successfully. Many other campuses also are doing this. In an online realm, when a student is online, how do you personalize the student's experience and interactions in the college? By personalization, I mean when you're counseling them, when you're case managing them, when you're communicating them outside the classroom, as a faculty member, as a staff, how do you relate to that experience that the student feels they do have someone to talk to in the campus? Those campuses who have been successful in this realm, they have successfully demonstrated that they have to create the infrastructure where even if I'm an online student, they engage me with the campus on a one-on-one basis. I am not a Zoom tile on a screen, but I am a person who has a name, who has a face, who gets communication from the faculty members, from the other students, from the staff. Case in point, if you look at the growth in online education over the last 5 years, between 2012 and 2017, if I remember it right, online grew from almost about 2 million to 3 million students, almost a 40% gain over a 5-year period, 2012 to 2017. That's all pre-COVID. Top 10 institutions, they got about 50% of those gains. Some of the famous names like Arizona State, Western Governors. Even when you look at Brandman University, they have been able to associate with UMass Global. Now, UMass, for those of you who have been with higher education, know that Massachusetts is a little bit snooty about public education and private education, and they do not really subscribe very easily to the online realm. For UMass to join hands with Brandman, they recognize that the growth sector is out there. Some of the projections that we are seeing here also is we are talking about if we grow from here till 2030, our growth is mostly going to come from the area of online education. But here's the caveat to it. Online education also creates student isolation, student disengagement, and oftentimes for certain categories of students, it does not translate into effective learning. So we have to create that infrastructure in our campus that will provide a personalized experience in an online realm. Do you think it's possible? Yes? No? Nods? Voice vote? Show of hands? You think it's possible you can personalize an online education by treating a student as an individual and connecting them with the campus and the community? That is our challenge that we have going forward. When we come back to the campus, we cannot deny the fact, we cannot deny the numbers that students have the flexibility of online classes. They want to go there. We cannot deny the fact that they're not learning as effectively. We cannot deny the fact they're getting more disengaged. And for that, I would look forward to all of you. Again, go back to the point of reflection. And then with discussion, with talking to each other, how do we really provide systems and procedures which can be better for our students, which can engage them as an individual onto the campus and the community. So that's challenge number 1 that I'm posing to you as we all come back to the fall semester. Accepted? If we can have some best practices, we can recognize those also and see how we can emulate those best practices so that we can really help our students be successful going forward. Let's move on to the next slide. So this is what, go back one. Yeah, we are talking about now campus-wide conversation. And on campus-wide conversation, we need to come to some kind of conclusion of what works and what not. This is kind of reflection of what I see across the stage right now. 85% of Americans think that we're not going in the right direction. And half of them say we need to go more left, half of them say we need to go more right. If we have a campus like that, what's our metric? We have to have a metric whereby we define which direction do we want to move. If I say I want to pull towards left, you say you want to pull towards right, or vice versa, we are not going to be getting anywhere. So when we put the focus in the middle, what should be our North Star? That when we make a decision of reforming the campus practices, what is our North Star? I have to be quiet for 24 seconds to get an answer, or is it 84 now? Student, I heard. Let's move to the next one. So when you're doing this reform practices or engaging in the conversation, inspect each and every process that you have. Design of the processes that we have. By design of the processes, I mean we are a guided pathway school. There are some ways of how students are supposed to be moving from course 1 to course 2, moving along, getting the degree, transferring, and so on and so forth. Take a look at each and every one of those. Now, I can always say, hey, I think that's simple, or Brian can think that's easy, or something of that sort. Let's remove ourselves from that situation and put the student in the middle. Because if we want to be a student-centered institution, which we all talk about, we want to be student-centered, we truly put the student in the middle. and do the tests. What works for our students, what does not work for our students. There comes our next point when we're talking about, once we're designing a process, test with our students. Engage our students. We have our student body representative here, and in MJC, we have been extremely fortunate to have strong student leadership. They have always been engaged. They are always in different councils of the campus, and they are not shy of speaking up. So let's use the student voice to see whether what we are doing is working for the students or not. Because I started to think that if I have to guess the mindset of a 21-year-old, I don't even know how much wrong can I get. And from my perspective, I would say that, you know what, you do one thing at a time. Either you study, or you watch a TV show, or you read a book. When I go to a Starbucks, I'm seeing they're listening to music, they're doing their homework, they're talking to their friends, they're doing social media. They are talented. Let's not discount that. They are doing all of this well. Let's not say they're not doing anything good. They are doing a lot of great stuff. And for all the logic that I hear that students are not doing that well, I have one question for all of you. And I ask this question to everybody that I see. If you're talking about the top 10 innovations in the world in the last 10 years, where did it come from? And who did those innovations which changed the history of mankind? You'll all find within 200 miles of this area. And they came from all young minds who thought about a variety of things. A guy like me did not think about Uber or Airbnb or any of those things. Those have been in existence for a long time. The young minds, the multitasking minds, they could break the barrier. So rather than me hazarding the guess, let's put the student in the middle, let's try to simplify the processes, test with the student, and make this workable for the students further. Can we take that as a challenge for our students, as a challenge for the campus going forward? Yes. Oh, the TV, yes. Really? Okay, let me share some good news. I'll then again ask the same question. Let's move on. We have already started some of these processes. If you're talking about guided pathways, I mentioned that. That's a task where we are trying to simplify the path for the student. We are way up in establishing our relationship with UC Merced and CSU Stanislaus, where the students would have the set path to walk. They would know which courses to take so they can transfer successfully to these institutions. And MJC happens to be the largest transfer partner for both these institutions in this area. We will continue doing that. The other areas are range of support services, whether we're talking about food insecurity, shelter insecurity. We are doing all of those issues here on campus. We have flow, we have other opportunities where students can go and get a warm meal or get some opportunities of getting what they need in order to be successful in classrooms. We're investing heavily in mental health this semester so that students who have anxiety issues, mental health problems, they can get those addressed at the campus itself. So a variety of things have been coming together, and we are working together so that we can address those concerns that the students have. Rather than looking at it from a deficit mindset, we are trying to look at what can we do to make you successful and provide those resources to the students. And we've been doing that remarkably well. Now, why would I say we do that remarkably well? Let's go to the next slide. Our high water mark in the history of MJC was fall of 2019. At this point of time, only 2 days before the beginning of the semester, we were standing at about 5,900 FTEs or so. From 2019, we had a sharp fall in 2020. We fell by almost 18% or so. And that fall continued across the state. This semester, we are 2 days back when we compiled the reports. We're about 250 FTEs ahead. Good news is, we do have a pretty robust waitlisted students. So for those of you who will be teaching the first class on Monday and Tuesday, you would see historically, as you see, first 2 days of the class, students come, ask for an add code, let's simplify the process, let's make sure they know how to add the classes, talk to your deans, talk to wherever you need to talk to make sure students can get into the classes. Typically, what we see is we get a bump of about 200, 250 FTEs in the first week of the semester. And then the second week of the semester, it does not continue that way. We see a little bit of a slide. We go down. So our challenge now, immediate challenge, so to say, in the first 2 weeks is when the students come to the class, let's see how we can accommodate those students in our classroom. We look at those numbers, we see how close we can get to our fall 2019 FTEs. We are not that short. We are about 500 short. And 500 sounds a long, big number, but imagine you have already made up the gap by 250. You'll have another 250 in the first couple of days. Suddenly, that shortage of 750 is looking like shortage of 250. I'm an optimist. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what we can do. And for those of you who are thinking that why are we focusing so much on the FTEs? Is it all about the dollars and cents? Are we a business? I have a completely different take on that. Remember that slide? We missed most of our male students. When we increase enrollment, who is coming to us? Enrollment to me means representation. When we talk about a diverse campus representing our community, we have a 55% Hispanic students in our campus. We're a Hispanic serving institution. If those students are missing from the campus at a rate of 18% or 20%, are we really representing our community? Do we have the diversity that we need and deserve to serve our students and community in here? So when we talk about enrollment, let's talk about how we can have representative campus so we can serve each of the students who deserve to be educated in order to partake in the economy of tomorrow. Can we do that? So we'll redesign some of those structures and processes, and we'll hopefully get there so we can serve our students better. It's a long ask, but if we work together, I am confident that we can accomplish this. If you need any resources, you know where my office is. You know where all our executive folks' offices are. We have here all the folks that really make a lot of key decisions in the campus. Dr. Sanders, Dr. Schrader, Dr. Wilson, Aisha Salah from the Academic Senate. So we have all the players in the room in the campus. If you have the idea, let's engage in the conversation. Let's bring the ideas forward and let's see how we make MJC a more desirable place where we keep on serving the needs of the community. Here's to a great fall semester. Go Pirates! Student panel. So what we have been talking about is we need to put the student in the middle. Unless we put the student in the middle, ask them what's happening in their life, there's no point in my or any of us second guessing what's going on in their mind. So at this time, I would like to introduce a student panel. And Ali, where are you?
He's coming out. We gotta wake him up though.
Ali. Okay.
While the student panel comes out, just muted. We have t-shirts.
Good.
Donated by, I don't know, our athletic department, I think. We'll just throw a couple of t-shirts at you. You may want to defend yourself. I haven't tried this yet. So, anyway.
What's happening here? Well, we have our student panel, and I would invite, I think most of you know Alejandra Espinoza, aka Ali. Ali has this set of students here, and if you, Ali, take it over, introduce our students, and go for the student panel. Let's hear from the students. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Dr. B. How are we doing today? Buenos dias, good morning. So students, you guys see that we like to have fun too. I like throwing things. All right, so I do have the privilege and honor to facilitate this morning's student panel. So I wanted to remind you guys before we go into introductions that this is your safe space. I want you guys to answer the questions that I'm about to ask you guys, coming from the heart, honest, and again, we're here to listen to you. We want your voice to be heard. We want to empower you to be yourself, and again, you're here in a place of power in a sense, because we want to know what you're going through at MJC, and looking forward to this upcoming year. Okay, so let's start with introductions. So Akani, why don't you start? Tell us. Somebody say anything? Sorry. No. Okay. Tell us your name, your major, if you're a part of any special programs or any type of involvement on campus.
My name is Bolano Louis. I go by Kwani. I've been here since the spring of 2018. My major is business administration, and this is my final semester. I'm the part of Moja and collaborating.
Hello everyone, my name is Laura Mora. My journey here at MJC started in August of 2021. I am majoring in sociology. I hope to become a counselor one day, and I work part-time at the Pathway Center, and I'm a proud member of Comunidad en Masa.
Hello everybody, I'm Carlos Martinez. I'm currently...
Mic is off.
Oh, it's on.
All right, that's better. All right, so hello everybody. I'm Carlos Martinez. I'm currently a business administration major. I'm also working for EOPNS as a student worker, currently a bridge TA. And I've been on campus, I think, since like 2019 fall, so yeah, pretty fun so far.
Hello everybody, my name is Keely Arellano. This is my second semester here at MJC. My major is psychology, and I hope one day I can work for CPS.
Good morning everybody, my name is Omar Lopez. My major is psychology. If all goes as planned, this will be my last year here at MJC. I'm a student worker at the pantry, and I hope to soon become a high school counselor.
Thank you everyone for your short introductions. So we have about 5 questions here, and I'm going to be calling a couple of you to answer these questions. But again, if you feel like you have something to add, feel free to do so. So Akani, I'll start with you. What are you most looking forward to in this upcoming year?
As we all know, away from the campus experience due to COVID. So I'm looking forward to getting back on campus to have their one-on-one, in-person connection with fellow students and the instructors, and so that's what I'm most looking forward to in the coming year.
Yeah, definitely coming back and being in person with other fellow students and your professors. Okay, Keely, how about you, Neha? What are you looking forward to for this upcoming year?
For this upcoming year, what I'm mostly looking forward is what he said, getting that in-person experience, because I have not had one class in person. All my classes have been online. Besides that, I really want to keep my academic progress, a good progress, have good grades and just be able to make school my priority as it has been.
Kaylee, let me ask you another question based on your answer. When you were doing remote learning, did you feel like your academics kind of went down a little bit?
Personally not, because I've always made my school a priority, but I've noticed my friends and some family members who've struggled a lot to pay attention in the Zoom meetings, and some of the classes are just Canvas. You have to personally log in and get your work done. Sometimes that is hard when you are not coming and sitting down in a classroom listening to a lecture, and you have to kind of just read it all by yourself and push yourself to get your work done.
Thank you, Miha. Our second question goes to Laura. What are your concerns about the upcoming year?
One of my concerns for the upcoming year would be a possible school shutdown. Some of us sometimes don't have a private space at home to do online classes, so having a safe space here on campus is beneficial. Also having like the library resources, having office hours with professors is something that I look forward to, and I feel if there's a shutdown, there's resources would not be available to a lot of us. Also, we have campus events, and some of those events sometimes make me feel part of the community or part of the school because I participate or I engage with faculty or other students, and not having that would be one of my concerns.
You really miss that again in-person interaction. And
yes,
so
that one-on-one.
Yeah, and if there is a possible another shutdown because of COVID again or monkeypox. Okay. All right. Well, it's good that we we're hearing this from you because it kind of lets us to see how we're going to navigate if that does happen. Okay. Carlos, how about you?
All right, so going back to what she said, another possible school shutdown, that's my main worry currently. Currently, there's the rumors of monkeypox going around, similar to COVID. COVID started off like, oh yeah, it's just another illness, it'll go away. Next thing we knew, everything was getting shut down, and things are always unpredictable. You never know what will happen, so another possible school shutdown can always happen, even if we're thinking like, oh no, we're right, nothing's gonna happen, but it can always happen. And for a lot of us students, especially for me and my EOPNS team, lady, and all of us, school is like our getaway from our actual life. This is a place where we come together as like a family. We work together, we motivate each other, and if there was another school shutdown, like all of that would go away again. And it's taking work to like get up back to how we were before the school was shut down. So that's one of my major concerns, another school shutdown.
Are you guys afraid of remote learning?
Oh, can you repeat that again?
Are you guys afraid of remote learning?
We're not afraid of it. It's just it's not the same experience. Like being in person compared to watching the screen. You don't get the same level of connection with the professor or your classmates. Well, as in person, you get to communicate. Your network expands. You meet new people. You work with new people, and all those people down the line can help you out with getting a job, many other things. And I think we benefit more from in-person classes than online.
Thank you. Omar, in your time at MJC, what is one thing that you've experienced that really helped you the most? It could be an event, interaction with a professor or a staff member, section on the website, anything.
For me, it's been the interaction with the faculty and the staff. I obviously only have the perspective of the student, but as a student, it's very clear and obvious when a faculty does the bare minimum, for lack of better wording, but you can tell when they do things that, when they take that extra step and go that extra mile, it's seen, it's felt, and it's heard. So yeah, that interaction with the staff and faculty has definitely helped me.
Do you have a specific example that you'd like to share?
Yeah, for sure. there's been a couple interactions with, sorry if I put you guys on the spot, but Christy from Access and Outreach, with Eric Barajas, with Angelica Guzman, and I have to say Jonathan Arias, because he is my supervisor, but with Jonathan, no, I'm just kidding. But with those staff, they have for sure helped me, and like I said, it's something very small as a simple conversation or a checkup, because like I said, they don't have to do those things, but when they do it, like I said, it's noticeable, and it does make a difference.
I like that you share that, Mijo, because it's really real, even for us as staff, right? Like when somebody just gives you a smile or like asks you like, how are you, right? And like generally mean that, like it really does make an impact in someone's life, right? And so kudos to those guys that he just mentioned, but we really enjoy you sharing that. Thank you. How about you, Okani?
So far at MJC, I've been a part of these two programs they call Umoja and Collaborative. They have helped me shape my experience at MJC in a way that I will never forget. And yeah, I would just say I want to give say thank you to Glenn, Steve-O, Lacey, Eric, my counselor, Eric Ivory. He's done such a good work, and I'm really grateful for that. And also, I want to say a special thank you to Professor Susan Carr. She, when I first got to MJC, I was new. I'm an immigrant from Nigeria, and I was still, shy, timid, and everything. So I took that class, and so she noticed I was feeling a kind of way. I didn't feel free and everything. And she wasn't just teaching; she was paying attention for her to notice that. So she asked me if I wanted to come by her office to take a private tutoring and all that. So I said yes, and I did. And eventually, I had a B in that class. I probably would have failed the class if she didn't step in. So she stepped in, and that helped me a lot. So I'm grateful for that. I say thank you. And also, Professor Smith, Albert Smith, it's not here with us at the school again, but wherever he is right now, I'm saying thank you to him. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear that we here at MJC, we do have a lot of caring people, and it is really nice to hear that, our professors do notice you. And we need more of that, right? Including our special programs. You mentioned collaborating Umoja. I mean, those programs are like super cool, right? So thank you for that. Our next question is, unless anybody else want to add a specific experience. Carlos?
All right, so going back to what you said, for me, what really helped me throughout COVID was having the people from EOPNS there for me, Letty Blanco, Hector Duarte, and a lot of other staff from the EOPNS office. I also have my bridge team, which the bridge TAs are pretty supportive. We were all supportive with each other during COVID. And I think that definitely helped out a lot. It got us through COVID. Whenever one of us wanted to quit, we always inspired each other. We motivated each other to not quit. And I think we really benefited from that. And unfortunately, a lot of other students on campus did not have that same support system that I had. I and some of the people around me had it. So I think more programs like EOPNS and TRIO and programs similar to that, they definitely help the students. And I feel like there should be more access to students and for programs for the students. So that's my experience.
What are those programs offer you guys? It brings a sense of.
I would like to add, for Enlace, like the program that, thanks to Enlace, I feel like they helped me and they guided me, because I'm a returning student. And I didn't have a program like Comunidad to guide me the first time around that I came to college, so I dropped out. I didn't know that there was resources that were available to me that would make it easier for me to get through college, or else I would have been done with my schooling a long time ago. And this time when I came back and I realized that there was a program like Comunidad and mentors like Ulises Ochoa for me and Eli, they were the people that were pushing me and showing me the way. And you guys have no idea how important it is for us to have mentors that are scholars, educated people that are guiding us to better our lives, because not all of us have mentors like that in the real world, in our life. And having people or faculty like you guys going the extra step, or having programs and putting the extra effort to help us, I think it's a great thing that MJC is doing. And I want to thank everybody.
Keely, anything to add? Oh, okay. All right. Our next question is for Omar. If you could change one thing about your MJC experience in the classroom, what would it be? And what about outside the classroom?
Inside the classroom, I think it would help obviously first myself, but I think all students, if teachers found a way to kind of change their teaching style. I know it sounds very broad and it's very difficult when a lot of instructors have 100+ students, but for example, if two different students ask the same question, more often than not, they're gonna answer the same way. And it's hard because not everyone has the same learning ability, not everyone has the same background, whatever it might be, there's all these different situations that they have. And again, if they answer the same way, it doesn't automatically mean that both students will understand it. So, and also I think if teachers can show and have a little more grace and empathy, because even though some people are full-time students, school isn't their only thing, if that makes, it's kind of like a contradiction. They're full-time students, but their only focus is in school. And again, I think a lot of the times when, say, an assignment isn't turned in on time, it's automatically, well, you had X amount of time, you knew the due date. And again, if teachers can kind of just have empathy and realizing and knowing that school isn't their only focus.
Yeah, I mean, life is full of different things, right? And college is just one aspect of life, right? And I think sometimes, college could be, possibly easy, but what makes it challenging is living life at the same time. Dealing with with family, jobs, and other things. So thank you for sharing that. How about you, Keely? If you could change one thing about your MJC experience in the classroom, what would it be? And what about outside the classroom?
Well, I haven't had a class in person just yet, but I'm looking forward to being able to come to class in person and getting that in-person experience. But having classes online, it is very difficult for me because I do have a job, I have bills to pay, I have things to do besides school. School is my main focus. Like he said, I'm a full-time student, but I also have a life, and I also have other things to get done. I suffer from mental health problems myself that I experience every day, and thanks, like he said, thanks to the Bridge program, I'm here where I am right now because I have so much support from everybody, but just a little bit more consideration from the professors, some professors, because like he said, you get your work, you have to turn in an assignment at a certain time, and you know that the whole week, but sometimes working 12-hour shifts, or depends how many hours you're working, it's difficult to get that assignment turned in. You can get it turned in, like personally I could get it turned in, but it's not gonna be my best work, and I like to get my stuff done the right way. And I just feel like that's one of the biggest things, just having more consideration from some of the professors. That's the thing I would change.
Thank you for sharing that, Mina. And thank you for sharing that. And our last question, Laura. We have heard that students in our community are struggling with 5 big issues: food insecurity, shelter and housing security, their own mental health and level of anxiety, questions about the value of getting a college degree or certificate, and matters of personal safety. In your own experience and through your conversations with fellow students, which of these ring particularly true, or are we missing anything from the list?
From my own experience, I think suffering from like stressors in life and maybe like mental health would be one of the things that it's kind of difficult to deal with if you don't tackle it like head on. So I'm glad sometimes that MJC promotes and tells us about the mental health resources that they have, because sometimes as a student, you don't know who to ask for help, or you don't know where to go, or you don't know that there's things available that could make your life easier. So I feel sometimes having a strong mind is necessary to get through college, and mental health is one of our main concerns.
Do you want to add anything like in particular that you want to share in terms of how mental health has been a big issue lately?
I think it's because of the pandemic too. It's been an issue trying to transition from like online classes to classes in person. Yeah.
One of the things that you've shared with me before in backstage is the anxiety, right? That having to come back to have in classroom. Do you think that you are going to be okay when you come back to campus and be in a classroom full of, classmates?
I tried taking a communications class this last semester, and this was going to be my first class because I was taking all my classes online before. So that it was a bit overwhelming to be in a classroom full of students because there's different personalities, and it was too much at first, and I ended up dropping the class, but I'm going to take it again this semester. But I did find a little bit of anxiety transitioning to an in-person class coming from an online student.
You mentioned something really key. Now that you know that we have a lot of mental health services on campus, we're definitely going to, get connected to those right away. So, they're there for you for whenever you need it for any of you guys. So thank you, Matt, for sharing that. How about you, Carlos?
All right, so for food insecurity, shelter, housing insecurity, mental health, value of college, a college degree, and matters of personal safety, those are all true issues that there are between a lot of the student community, and a lot of us have gone through one of these issues, like at one point or another. All of these basically work as a domino effect. If someone's struggling with housing, their mental health might go down, might have anxiety from overthinking, like, oh, okay, I need to find a place to live, I need to get a roof over my head. So with all of that, it puts getting a college degree all the way to the bottom of the list. That's not their priority anymore. Their priority is surviving. So some students will not have enough money for housing, so they'll cut corners, and eventually that leads to sometimes reducing the amount of money they spend on food. Maybe from going to 3 meals a day, maybe 2. Some people might even risk it and go for 1 meal a day. I've known a lot of my friends that had housing issues during COVID. They were very smart individuals. They were some of the brightest people I knew. And because of COVID, the lack of jobs, a lot of them struggled with housing, and they had to move around, and eventually they had to drop and stop coming to MJC, which was one of their favorite places. And for them to go that far, it really showed that their situations were really bad. And for me, from my personal experience, the one thing that I went through was housing security. At the beginning of 2021, we got a notice that we had a certain amount of time that we had to move out of the house we were living in. So we had to find a new place to rent. And we struggled at first because a a lot of people were looking for houses, places to move into. So it was really hard, getting in contact with people to see if housing was available, because a lot of people had gone there before me. So I remember for a long time, like I would stay up late, just waiting for something to pop up on Facebook Marketplace or all these other websites, for available houses. And me being the only English-speaking person in my family, I was in charge of that while being a full-time student at the same time. And it was very difficult, and it definitely affected my mental health. I stopped paying attention in class. I even skipped a few classes just to make sure I could find something, hopefully that was a place where we could move into. And it made it difficult also because I needed to find a place that fit our budget. I come from a low-income family, so sometimes there's places available, but we didn't have the money. So that definitely took a lot of my spring semester for 2021. And it was bad for a while, but things got better. We got blessed that we had enough money at least for food, and that eventually we found a place 30 days literally before we had to move out. So these are major issues that should often be addressed and that people do face, unfortunately. So yeah, I think everything on the list is very accurate.
Thank you for sharing that.
I think it would be cool, for lack of better wording, if there was a way to get staff to kind of know more than just general information of all these programs along with instructors. Because say, for example, the pantry, a lot of students come as a last resort, like, oh, I haven't had food for X amount of time and I'm just now hearing about the pantry. Or another common one is, I've been on campus for 3 years and this is the first time I'm coming to the pantry. So like I said, if there was a way to, again, for lack of better wording, to promote it, whether it's in classes or just whenever you have an interaction with the student, and again, just kind of have you don't have to be an expert on the program, but like I said, just have general information on programs across the board, so students aren't going there as a last resort, but they're just kind of going to refuel, I guess.
Thank you, Omar, for adding that, because it definitely takes a team effort, right, to support all of our students and get them connected right away and have them be in a place that there's a sense of belonging and where they can learn and thrive, right? Anything else that you guys would like to share at this moment? An experience, an advice?
I think advice would probably, if any of the professors, sitting down right now, if you guys know about any programs, EOPNS, TRIO, whatever you guys know or are aware about, spread that information to the students. A lot of students don't even know what EOPNS is, I tell them about EOPNS and they're like, wow, that's really a program on campus? And I'm like, yeah, it's for low-income students. And they're like, oh, I could really benefit from that, signing up for EOPNS, getting a book voucher every semester, and having access to a specific counselor so I can stay on track. Because a lot of students are not aware of a lot of resources. A lot of students weren't even aware that you could print for free on the library. I thought that was info that everybody was aware of, but no, barely anyone knew. And people were surprised when I told them, oh, you can print for free in the library. It's been like that for a whole minute. And if they don't know about that, then they don't know about any of these other programs. So I feel like if you guys can spread the word about programs or any other resource that's available, you guys should definitely go for it. And the students would really appreciate it.
So then one more time, let's give it up for our student panel, please.
Don't go yet, please. It takes a lot of courage to come up here and talk to all of us. I truly appreciate all of you coming and talking about things. And as our campus, I think we have heard from the students that we have lots of work to do. Yes, we do a lot of good work, but this is coming straight from those. We are a student-centered institution. In order to be there, we have to really address all these challenges. Thank you. Please keep this conversation going. Talk to us so we know what's lacking, how we can improve. And that's the only way we can be a better institution. Again, thank you so much for coming here today. All right. We have 2 additional minutes on this one. So let's just keep running on. Our next on the agenda is guided pathways, recap, vision, and remaining tasks. Erin and Belen.
Okay, this is going to call. Good morning, everybody. It's really nice to see all of you again. Erin and I wanted to give you an update on what MJC has done on guided pathways in the past and what the Pathways Implementation Team, also known as the PIT crew, has planned for the new academic year. We worked with campus personnel and students to develop schools, counseling faculty with discipline faculty, created the flexible 15s and roadmaps for every program, and various faculty members agreed to be point persons for each discipline, joining counselors and specialists to create a success teams for each school to provide wraparound services for all students, modeling our already established, fabulous, successful special programs. So we want to thank you, thank everyone actually who participated in devoting their time and energy to help us with the building of our schools at MJC. This summer, our Board of Trustees officially adopted schools as our new operational structure. In spring and summer, we planned and applied the new onboarding student enrollment experience, and we have examined or re-examined and are redefining our next registration period. By the way, next Thursday, September the 1st, will be our welcome day. So please, yeah, that's the new one. It's going to be fun. So make sure to check with your deans to participate in all the fun activities, and please invite your students.
All right. It's a little bit higher for me, sorry. Only a little bit though. So where are we going with guided pathways? Our next phase, we will be establishing and training data coaches to help facilitate the conversations about our successes and opportunities for improvement within each of our schools and disciplines. Some of the exciting new programs we're working on include the cross-pollination of schools through contextualized teaching and learning, proactive faculty advising, and credit for prior learning. If any of these topics excite you, we'd love to have you join our communities of practice or the PIT crew. So, what you're seeing on the screen now are the priority areas and the roadmaps for the future. These are the state's expectations for us as a Guided Pathways institution. In order to achieve these goals, Guided Pathways 1.0 really focused on the first 2 pillars. But currently, we're in 2.0, which means we are shifting the focus a little bit more towards pillars 3 and 4. Teachers are the pathway to all careers. Looking at pillar 4 and the state expectations, we want to leave you with this question. How do we ensure that learning is happening with intentional, substantive outcomes in every classroom? Thank you.
Can anybody name what's the best gift one can give? Time. And you got 8 additional minutes added to your break time. You're supposed to have a break at 10:40. Please enjoy the conversation, each other's company. If there is some more snacks and coffee available outside, go for those. We'll see you back here at 11 o'clock.
Check, check. Yeah, I'm ready. All right, everybody, come on in here. If you want a t-shirt, you better be in. The people in the front row have been complaining that we were too powerful. We could try soccer style, but I'm a little nervous about the front row.
Oh my God, really, Brian?
All right. Hey, we didn't tell you, but the t-shirts have special surprises inside of them. Tickets to MJC events, I don't know what they are, but I see people over here wanting one. Jam it up.
How cool is that?
If I hit a board member, is that bad? Oh, it's
That's it, we're done? For now? All right. Welcome back. I hope you had some time to connect with someone that you did not know before, someone who has joined us, MJC family, during the pandemic time. If not, please make it a point during lunch hours or sometime during the day today, get to know someone you have not known when you came here this morning. So let's carry on with the program. Next, what we have here is what we call 3 in 7 challenges. And I worked closely with the Vice Presidents, Academic Senate President Aisha Salah, and our student leadership, Caitlin Gross. So I asked all of them that if there are 3 areas that they would highlight, they would like to focus on what they're going to do in the next 1 year's time, what would those be? And let's hear it from them. Aisha? Okay, that's better. Yes, sir. You just take cards. I'm not coming up there. We'll go to the chairs.
Microphone will get passed along like this.
Check, 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 check. 3 and 7, that's the
idea. We need 5 chairs. Come on over. You're number 1. Number 2. There we go. Now we got it. And I also have handy Dean Laura Mackey. She is our official time. You have to be up here, Laura. She is our official timekeeper because, you know, sometimes us administrators have a tendency to ramble on and on and on about things, or, you know, in my case, send long emails with lots of details in them. So our challenge here is to try to present information to you that's, you know, our highlights for this year, the things that we're really working on, but in a brief period of time. So here we go. Laura, you ready? Aisha's up.
All right, when I was given the challenge of top 3 and 7, I immediately panicked. And I realized what our students must feel like when I put them up in front of the class to give a presentation, timed one. So our Senate's top 3 was created with our major initiatives and the result of our faculty climate survey in mind. I know people are always wondering if we do anything with those surveys.
We have been. You forget. So our top three are reflection and transformation, faculty representation and service, and faculty support and connection. So for our first one, reflection and transformation, this year we have more opportunity for reflection and transformation than usual. We have faculty reviewing the roles and responsibilities of a participatory governance document. We're reflecting on the last year and hope to revise that document in a way that further clarifies and strengthens our governance model. The faculty handbook and Senate rules and guidelines are also being transformed this year after staying the same for about a decade now. Our faculty handbook work group started meeting during the spring semester and will continue this fall, and we hope to move on to the Senate rules and guidelines in the spring of 2023. I want to thank Dr. Jessica Brennan and Hans Hasselman for co-chairing that work. I really appreciate all the hard work you're doing. Our accreditation team has started the work of interpreting each of the standards and compiling evidence for our institutional self-evaluation report, or ICER. You'll be hearing a lot about this over the next year. This is a cooperative effort that involves faculty, administrators, classified staff, and so I want to thank all of you who are involved in this important work. In the spring, we all need to be especially nice to Dr. Chad Redwing, as he is serving as our faculty accreditation coordinator, and he's going to be taking all of these completed templates and evidence that we've been compiling and create a cohesive narrative. I know that grappling with what it means to teach during a pandemic has meant that assessments have fallen to the wayside for many of us. It's time for us to resume our assessment responsibilities. So please meet with your colleagues in your department, figure out where you are in your assessment cycle, and if you got off track for a bit, let's be kind to ourselves and our fellow faculty members and help one another find our way back on track. This is when I mentioned I'm looking for faculty volunteers for the assessment work group. So please contact me if you're interested in assuring that our assessment processes are meaningful, that we're doing on campus. Whenever you're encountering change, there's an opportunity to improve. Our number two is faculty volunteers, right? Faculty representation. So speaking of faculty volunteers, we're faced with a lot of change, and while I know that can be unsettling, it also gives us so many opportunities to reflect on the way we do things and adjust to better serve our students and to support one another as faculty. Our transition to schools means that we're going to be reimagining the structure of the Senate and the curriculum committee. Any upcoming changes to the structure or major operations of the college will be aided by shared planning and transparent communication at all levels of the institution. The Senate will be doing its part in maintaining transparency, and based on my experiences with our college president and vice presidents over the last year, I'm confident that this transparency is going to be valued and honored across the institution. Diverse and plentiful faculty voices are essential to the work we do in Senate. The more faculty who are involved, the better the flow of information is across campus. You can only send so many emails. It's always better if people are talking about it in the hallways and in their classrooms. There are almost always more spaces than people to fill them, so please get involved and help spread the word about the work and changes that are happening on our campus. In an effort to improve Senate communication, there's going to be a new bi-weekly newsletter that will cover our meeting highlights. It will list the openings for faculty representatives on campus, give you directions for how to volunteer for those open positions. And it will also highlight the incredible work you're doing on campus and in our community. So if you're doing something cool, I want to know about it so that I can include it in this newsletter. I'm consistently in awe of the accomplishments of our faculty, and this will provide another platform in which to recognize your work. Lastly, our third in our top three, but in my mind, anyway, the most important, faculty support and connection. In our faculty climate survey, faculty were overwhelmingly concerned with the lack of connection and support. Our faculty professional development committee is being revitalized this semester by Dr. Layla Spain. We have high hopes for resuming the tradition of regular faculty retreats. So if you want to be involved in that planning, please contact her or the Academic Senate office. You're going to notice a trend here. I'm going to keep asking you to volunteer for things and give you email addresses to contact if you're interested. Now that more of us are getting back to campus, it's time for our Teaching and Learning Center to move from vision to more action.
which will help improve professional development opportunities on campus. Much of the planning for this transition will happen on that Faculty Professional Development Committee, so you know what to do, right? If you're interested in this, get in touch with the Senate office and help us get moving on this important work. As for DEIA, Focused Professional Development, our Student Success and Equity Committee is currently working on our equity plan for the next few years, and this will provide guidance for us in this work, so keep an eye out for that equity plan this fall. Faculty wellness and mental health were also one of the primary faculty concerns expressed in our climate survey. We've been working on creating a wellness and self-care series for faculty that will be launching this semester. At our new faculty orientation this week, our very own Dr. Cheryl Williams-Jackson led a self-care session that left us feeling all just a little bit euphoric. It was really wonderful. I want to thank her not only for that incredible self-care session, but for immediately agreeing when I asked her to help our faculty wellness work group further develop this series of professional development that we're creating. We hope to include meaningful professional development and community building events, things like coming together for a bit of restorative yoga on campus, or even just talking. During our orientation session, some of the faculty mentioned that one of the ways they practice self-care is by taking the time to get outside and move their bodies. And I know that after 2 years of near constant Zoom meetings and a lot of sitting, so much sitting over the last 2 years, I have a newfound appreciation for walking. So the idea of communal wellness walks was born. So keep an eye out for your invitation to the inaugural wellness walk coming soon. I love a bit of alliteration, so of course weekly wellness walks immediately popped into my head. But I think that will depend on how interested you all are in these walks, and the heat, if I'm being honest, might impact the frequency. But we hope you'll join us. I'd like to close by acknowledging that it wasn't easy to make the transition home in the spring of 2020, and it's not going to be easy for everyone to make the transition back to campus for those who are just making it back. I'm mindful of that, and I hope we all go the extra mile to support one another as we start this semester. And I hope that the Academic Senate's top 3 for this year has faculty feeling heard and valued. Welcome back.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Caitlin Gross, and I'm honored to be standing up here today as the president of ASMJC. For those of you who don't know me, this is my second and final year in ASMJC, as I'll be transferring to my agricultural science degree next fall. This year is a huge year as my team and I want to increase the level of student engagement as well as the service we can provide to them, as it is our first year back with students all on campus. My biggest drive in life is to help lift and empower others. I joined ASMJC because I've always had a passion for student government, and in fact, I hope to be in the education system when I graduate from college. I want to be a teacher specifically because I want to make a difference in student lives and leave an impact on them. During the summer, my team and I were trained about shared governance, special programs, and MJC history and structure. That is just a few of the many things we have learned. As a team, we came up with the following 3 goals. Fill ASMJC student senate positions, assigning senators to schools, and continue to work on DEI. So for the first one, fill ASMJC student senate positions. There are 24 ASMJC positions available for new incoming senators and everyone, including the executive officers. We only have currently 10 positions filled. Everyone knows COVID-19 has drastically affected everything on campus. This has to do with our effective membership is remote learning. It's hard to connect with students when everyone's online. You can't go see them in the quad and say, oh, who's that in the blue shirt? So it's really hard during remote learning to get connected with students. And student engagement has dramatically decreased ever since we've all been online. There's only been a few events on campus, and the events we've had on Zoom, students didn't really want to sit on another Zoom event when they've been sitting all day. So it was really hard to get students involved with online events that we've had going on. And then our action plan to recruit is to collaborate across departments, collaborate with Academic Senate, and to speak to classrooms. To collaborate across departments, access and outreach/PR are really good ways to get the word out to students. And to speak to classrooms, there's this kind of spark for students when it's a student-to-student different conversation, it's a different spark that lights up that there are actually students doing stuff on campus that they could do too. And this is important because the more services we can provide to students, the better. The more school spirit presence on campus it could lead to. And more of a student voice in shared governance, councils, and committees. We do have a small team, and it's hard to fill the ASMJC representative position in all the councils and committees and really have the student voice when we don't have enough people to fill all the committees. So it's super important to fill up the positions in ASMJC so we can have all these students in those committees and councils. So moving on to our second goal, which was assigning senators to school. This is following in the work of the guided pathways, and we thought this was really important because we need to follow in as what our institution is doing. And each school will have 2 senators assigned to them. And it's a great opportunity to see what our students need in each school because every school will have different needs, and it's super important to really see what those needs are. And there's a lot of disconnect with remote learning, as we all know. It's definitely not the same. And it can be challenging sometimes to reach out to students when you're on Zoom. You don't have that real face-to-face interaction. And assigning senators to schools makes it a way easier to connect with students because they would be in the office with the faculty and the students and really get that one-on-one conversations with all of them. Our final goal is to continue to work on DEI, which stands for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Most of you all may know, but ASMJC co-sponsors many of the major diversity events here at MJC, such as the Hispanic Education Conference, African American Education Conference, LGBTQ+ Pride Education Conference, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Legacy Week, Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta Legacy Week, and even more. And we are so excited to work with the Office of Student Equity to keep providing these events. And we have students with all different backgrounds, all different needs, and all different ages, and they all have different needs. And so it's so important we continue to keep on with these events, especially in person, so more people can come and more people can find a place where they have a community and feel like they belong. So thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Let's try this one. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Sarah Schrader. I'm the Vice President of College and Administrative Services. So the 3 main goals that we have, if you don't mind switching the slide, thank you. The 3 main goals that we have are to align the alignment of budgets with schools, increase transparency of the budget, facilities, and college technology processes, as well as long-term fiscal planning. So a little bit more about goal number 1 is that obviously with guided pathways, we have implemented schools, and so we want to make sure that the resources that the college has is going towards the schools, right? That we're not going back to our divisions, that the resources are being allocated to achieve the goals of the schools. If we can go to the next slide, that'd be great. And then we also are talking about what does a classroom look like now, right? So Dr. B brought this up during his speech this morning, in that students like to be online, but they don't like to be online. They want to be here, but they want the flexibility of online classes. So does that mean we're still the type of classrooms that have rows of desks? Or do we now create cafe-style rooms? What does this look like? So we're wanting to potentially look at the redesign of some of our classrooms so we can accommodate a different learning style for students, because we know that we're probably going to have changes in that area in the upcoming future, and now is the year to make those changes and to dedicate resources to those changes. On the next slide is our goals for number 2, which is the increased transparency of budget, facilities, and technology processes. For those of you that don't know, I am the chair of the Resource Allocation and Facilities Committee, as well as the College Technology Committee. We have been sending out communications from the Resource Allocation and Facilities Committee for about the last 2 years, and we did a survey at the end of last year and received some feedback on what type of communication you would want, what information you would want. So please stay tuned to see some different information about the processes and where are links to information for our resource allocation process, or to request additional resources, or about facilities changes. if you want to make a facilities change, where is that form? So that information will be coming out to you guys in those communications that RAC sends out to you. The College Technology Committee actually implemented a communications calendar at the end of last spring. So they will be sending out a communication at the end of fall and spring terms to let you know the changes that they've been making throughout the academic year as well. The third goal that we have is the long-term fiscal planning. So I know that Dr. B likes to say that my title is not only Vice President, but AKA Moneybags. And so with that though, we want to make sure that we have those long-term resources available to help us reach our goals and to achieve our initiatives. So we want to start conducting multi-year budget projections in anticipation of fluctuations in the budget. This budget year is great, I'm not going to lie, but it is a lot of one-time money. And we do have a lot of new initiatives that are coming down from the state. And so what we need to do is make sure that whatever we're implementing with the one-time funding, that it is something that we can operationalize going forward as well. So those multi-year budgets will help us do that, and it'll also help us plan for potential fluctuations, because it's unlikely that we're going to continue to see great budget years into the future. We also want to create a long-term strategic fiscal plan, and again, that's operationalizing or embedding those initiatives into our ongoing budgets, but it's also looking at our how we budget positions, how we budget for some of our departments. They're all funded. Some of them are funded on all categorical or special fundings, and we need to re-look at that and really determine what are our priorities and how are we going to strategically align our budgets going into the future. So, Brian, I didn't take my 7 minutes, so you don't get to make up the rest of the time.
Good afternoon, good morning. I'm Andrea Wilson, and I am the Vice President of Student Services. And I had the absolute pleasure of having our first in-person meeting with all of Student Services yesterday. Where are my Student Services folks at in the house? Let me hear you, let me hear you. Student Services, we had the pleasure of walking through our goals yesterday and coming up with ideas and suggestions from each department on how we're going to meet our goals, as well as the institution's goals. So we talked about, as an institution, making sure that each student feels like they belong, they will learn, and they will thrive. So we were talking about the BOT and how we would contribute to everyone having a bite of that sandwich. But we also talked about the Chancellor's Office expectation as well. So our goals for Student Services moving forward are, number one, students first focus. So it will be all about enrollment, persistence, retention, and completion. We are the one area that is involved in every part of the life cycle of a student at MJC. From pre-college, getting them in the door, exposing them to MJC, getting them in their seats, enrolled, making sure they're successful, they're in the right courses, but making sure that we're also getting them out and getting them transferred or graduated. So number two is customer service and enhanced experience, and number three is care. And I'll talk about those in a little more detail. So our first slide, students first focus. As I mentioned, enrollment, persistence, and retention and completion, we are prioritizing students' needs first. It is not about us. It is not about what's convenient for us, but what is best for students. And that is how we will roll and how we will function in student services. So it's always with that students first mentality and creating that sense of belonging and connection to MJC. For students first, it's also about, for enrollment, increasing our outreach and access activities. So what we're doing externally to get students through the door. So having new student days. In the spring, we will have 2. It will be April 1st and May 20th. Those are both Saturdays. So we'll have full welcome days for students in the spring. We're also having our first welcome day next week on September 1st, where you will have the opportunity to see all the resources and services that MJC has to offer. And we also are working on a brochure that will list all the programs and services. So you heard that was mentioned earlier today. I mentioned it in the new faculty and adjunct faculty presentations earlier this week, that we are making a quick reference guide for everyone so you can share that information with students as well. We'll be having matriculation events that will support students step by step through the process, again, of getting through the door, staying in the classroom, and getting out of here as well. So we'll be working with students on that. We'll have boot camps and workshops for outreach as well, helping to facilitate the enrollment process, the registration process, the financial aid process, because we all know that it's not easy. It's not easy for those processes. But we also have targeted in-reach events and activities. So promoting of affinity groups and programs. So those connections to services and programs that students will have that sense of belonging. We opened up the Rise Up Center here in CAT 261 yesterday with Umoja, RSN, and Collaborative yesterday. Good turnout, excellent turnout yesterday. But we also will be creating spaces on the West Campus with the Rise Up Center, with the LGBTQ Center. Again, we know students, when they feel like they belong someplace, that they're going to continue to remain in MJC. We're also looking at bringing other programs to MJC, so we will be applying for Puente for the fall of 2023 as well as Mesa. We will have a first generation initiative. You will see some of us wearing buttons that says first gen. There are some that are on the tables outside as well. But we have a lot of first generation students here at MJC. But there's also a lot of first generation faculty and staff. Raise your hand, first generation folks. So we know what those experiences are like, and we will share that with students, and that is one other way to make sure that we connect. We'll be doing transfer and career connections, having co-curricular participation outside the classroom. So again, increasing that sense of belonging and connection is vital to our students. And then celebrating successes and being very intentional about how we celebrate students moving from one semester to the next, moving from one GPA to the next, and making sure that we're celebrating every step of the way so they know we celebrate them until they get the finish line of graduation. Number 2, customer service and an enhanced experience with customer service. And customer service internally as well as externally. So we know that student services does a great job at customer service. But how can we enhance that experience? Because we all know what it feels like when you get that VIP experience. So you know how it feels when you go someplace and they have like the gold line and the general population line? We want everyone here to be the blue card members at MJC. All students will get the VIP experience. They will be very important pirates for MJC. We will talk about student experience and how to enhance those business operations, because what we did 5 years ago is very different for this new group of students. Leadership development for students, with a clear focus on equity, like I mentioned, and identifying and removing any existing barriers. So we have to look at things in a broader view to say, what can we remove for students to make sure that they're more successful? The first thing we're doing this semester is eliminating fingerprinting costs for student workers. For the school and faculty experience in customer service, it's about building those connections within the school. So we'll make sure that we're in the schools. We mentioned ASMJC, we have Center Church as well. For the staff experience, it's about increasing collaboration. So it's not about us and them. It's not about administration, faculty, and students and staff, because we're all the same boat. So if the boat goes down, we're all going down. So we want to talk about how we all can be a part of that customer service experience. And then the staff experience, increasing those collaborations across departments, trainings, as well as professional development. Externally, we really will focus on rebuilding community partnerships. Community partnerships with outreach and career development. We will have a learning aligned employment program this year where students will earn money to pay for education in career-related fields. So career services will be working with that. Targeted matriculation events and dual enrollment. So we will make sure that we're very targeted in those events. We know it's 3 populations of students who we need to work a little harder with. It's our older students, it's our male students, and it's our African American students. So what are we doing to specifically target those groups? And increasing promotions, so really branding and marketing and sharing what student services does and our experiences, because people don't know what they don't know. So you heard the students up here earlier today. They mentioned a lot about student services. They mentioned a lot about student services. So there's a lot of good experiences, and we want to make sure we're sharing those stories with our community and outside of MJC. And then finally, we care for students will be our final focus for student services. So CARE stands for Connect, Assess, Respond, and Engage with our students. So connecting, how do we connect with our students? It's different depending on who the student is. Some like an email, some like a text, some like a phone call. Some like a social media post, some like a TikTok. Some want a person-to-person, in-face conversation. But we have to think about how can we better connect with our students so there's just not an email we send them, so we can say we reached out to them, what more can we do? And then assessing all of our students' needs, what those needs are, those academic needs, their success plans, their counseling services, their tutoring services. Are we assessing for basic needs? I talked about for faculty, if a student is sitting in your classroom and they're hungry, sleepy, tired, or stressed, do you really think they're focusing on your syllabus? If they have an eviction notice next to it. So we're about removing those barriers for those students who are in the classrooms. Their overall well-being and providing those support services. And then how we respond to students. Making sure that we're, again, once we assess their needs, responding with the appropriate resources. So I mentioned the resource guide to make sure we get that out to you. Having warm handoffs, so not just pointing the student in direction, but physically walking to the next person or making a phone call on behalf of that student, but we have to have warm handoffs for our students. Being clear with outcome and directions for students, as well as how we respond versus reacting to things. So sometimes we have to let the email sit, let it marinate, read it a few times before you hit the send button, but how are we responding? And are we having a clear answer versus you just need to go talk to so-and-so, versus how do we facilitate that process? And then finally, how we engage with our students. So encouraging them as much as possible to participate in the campus community somehow. We have too many programs, too many services that so many students can benefit from. Like I said, everyone up here this morning mentioned a student service or a program. And we need to make sure we make them get in where they fit in, because then we know they'll be successful. So again, student services, we're ready to put the work in. We are not new to this, we are true to this, we are excited for the fall. Thank you.
The soft chair is an interesting ride over here. So we have 3 things in instruction that we put on the list here. Pathways were accreditation and planning and the future of the classroom. So let's go on to the first one. What are the next steps in being a Guided Pathways College? You know, we are officially a Guided Pathways College now. Our funding, which was 5 years of dollars that came to us, and before that, Guided Pathways Top 20, the funding is done. They think that we're done with that now, and yet we have work to continue to do. So that's the next thing. What does the next piece of that mean? And you heard some of that from our chairs earlier in their update. Part of the decision making that we've done here, though, is to decide to become schools. To, instead of being the big beast of all of MJC, to try to focus as a smaller collection of smaller agencies, individual schools. What does that mean? And that's the challenge that I've given to the deans, to work with the members of their new schools to develop that new identity. What does it really mean to be the school of whichever that you're in? Because it's going to have a little bit different character, each one of those. And as I was watching the student panel up here earlier, I was really struck by, they were all involved in a student service, but they were all involved in a connected and engaged group of people. And I think that that may be part of what we as the schools, the faculty in the schools and the staff members supporting the schools have an opportunity to really dive into, is to build the connection for students as a member of the School of Business and Computing, for instance. All right, whoops, Face ID. The other piece that is on my list here is the concept of mirror gazing, and what I mean by that is, you know, the man in the mirror, the woman in the mirror, looking and seeing who we are, recognizing that in our classroom experiences we've been doing the very best that we can all along, but maybe there's some things that we can do differently. Maybe there are things that are within our sphere of influence to do more effectively in the classroom, and the openness to try new things. I was looking through my old office stuff and found something from Steve Collins when he was in this chair, frankly. He would send around Try It series, a series of different things to try as a faculty member. And these are old yellowed pages, dittoed, and then stapled together. It's kind of amazing. But just that concept of trying new things as a faculty member to become better and more effective. In that context, this contextualized teaching and learning, what's that going to be like? How do you contextualize math or English instruction, other areas of this that's more associated with different schools? One of the things that came out over the summer that we'll be working with the Academic Senate and the Curriculum Committee on is a goal from the State Academic Senate and the 5C, California Community Colleges Curriculum Committee, to work on diversity, equity, and inclusion across our curriculum. What does it look like if we put our DEI and accessibility, DEIA principles into our curriculum itself? And then also, how do we operationalize and work with credit for prior learning? What kinds of avenues does that open up for student progression? Item number 2, accreditation and planning. My slide up there. Yeah, if you haven't heard about it yet, we're doing accreditation. And when we say we're doing accreditation, if that means Chad and Patrick doing all that work, that's not what accreditation is. It's important for all of us to recognize that this is part of our institution. The institutional self-evaluation report is all of us telling the story of how we're doing it right. And the cool thing is, we're doing it right. As I look around, I've been at MJC now since the first part of June, we're doing it right. You have been doing it right. The evidence is there. All we have to do is identify how we're responding to this standard or that standard and gather that evidence together. And then Chad gets to write it up and Patrick gets to proofread. That's kind of how this is working. The most important piece on that slide, folks, is, let's see, full governance and approval in fall of December 15th, 2023. That is, what, 15 months from now or so? That's when we have to turn in the final approved version. So we have a lot of work to do between now and then. The next part of that, though, is our planning efforts. So you heard Sarah talking about planning for budget. We need to go from, we're working on our strategic plan. When that's done, we need to update our educational master plan. And we have to update our facilities master plan. These are outdated documents now that we need to get done. One of our accreditation issues that I like to take to the table is if we find something that's kind of tweaked, we fix it. We have to take the ownership of identifying an issue and making it better. So our dates are kind of old on those documents. We do have to have that conversation. And it's good timing for that, especially as we think about item number 3 on the list, which is the future of the classroom and the future of the institution. The educational master plan of Modesto Junior College that was last written 10 plus years ago had no idea where online instruction would go, and obviously nothing with COVID. Before the pandemic, we were roughly 25% online. During the pandemic, 90 some odd percent online. We're never gonna go back to 25, right? We've learned too much, our students have learned too much. Well, there's going to be this blend, but we don't know where that blend is between online and hybrid and high flex and lots of flex in between. We'll see where we end up with those. The other piece with that is what kind of infrastructures are we going to need? You heard Sarah talking about some of the technology, some of the physical infrastructure in our classrooms. So what is it we're going to need to do with those and start planning for those? So what are we going to do as an educational institution, and then what facilities are we going to need to support that in the future? So those are the big 3 things that we're working on this year. Is there one more slide? Or are we done? Yeah. I don't have that one on my little phone. One of the things that happened in my 7 years at Columbia is my eyesight went really far. I didn't have glasses when I left. As I was listening to what was shared by my colleagues, I was really kind of struck by these themes hitting over and over again for the year. Finalizing schools, what does that mean for us and carrying that forward? Building community internally amongst ourselves, getting back to stronger interpersonal relationships because we can, folks, not send another email when you're starting to get that emotion up, but instead just walk over and sit and talk to somebody. It just kind of, it's a lot easier to read body language in person. External, building community relationships, caring for our students and one another, listening, you heard that. Aisha and I were talking about that earlier, just listening when issues are coming up, promoting successful governance, and then progressive leadership. We are moving forward. We're going to focus on tomorrow with the issues of today. So thank you for your listening attention. Dr. B, back to you.
Thank you. I think I'm standing between you and lunch. It's never a good position to stand in. As I was sitting here and thinking about, listening to all the ideas that we have and how we make this a future-focused institution, I was also thinking about what I talked about in the morning. Online education is here. Online education is a large part of our life and our students' lives. I think our biggest challenge in front of us is how do we personalize that education? How do we make it more fitting in our students' scheme of things? That is the challenge that we're trying to navigate. And we are very lucky that we have one of the best online training programs here in MJC, which so yeah, the euphoria of seeing everybody in person, it's like, yes, it's great, but the reality is online is the growth area. It's going to be there. And we will continue to discover, invest our resources, technology-wise, classroom-wise, to make sure our online experience for our students are as personable as possible, so they get the best of both worlds. And we, as MJC, keep on serving our students and our community. So, coming to the last point of our agenda, we talked about Solve CC update. Many of you may not even know what is Solve CC. And we have been talking about innovation is an essential part of education. We need to learn in a variety of ways. Learning happens inside the classroom, outside the classroom, in the community. Probably it's very difficult to learn if I'm lecturing on somebody for 2 hours and hoping they would grasp each and every morsel of that lecture. Probably it doesn't happen that way. So last year when we were talking about it, Academic Senate and my office, and there is Academic Senate President Aisha Salah's office and my office, we talked about this. We definitely had a partner in crime in Dr. Chad Redwing, who have been leading our efforts in Lemonson MIT's I3 institution, which MJC has been leading a charge on that across the state amongst 4 other institutions. And we're saying, how do we make education more engaging and involving? That was the genesis and birth of Solve CC. Let's hear from a couple of faculty members who have been engaged in this journey about what Solve CC is all about. Ty, let's play the first video. I thought it's a video, not a still picture.
Hello everyone, my name is Annalise Hausler-Akpovi, and it has been a great privilege to teach at MJC for 22 years. During my time here, I've always been passionate about innovative and meaningful ways to teach, and one of my favorite ways to engage my students is with service learning. I believe it inspires my students to learn about problems in their community and to take action to solve those problems. As an ACCT faculty fellow, I recruited a group of amazing MJC students, and they're doing some extraordinary work to solve the challenge of enhancing service learning opportunities at MJC. Their vision matches my own as I work to create and get approval for a 3-unit transferable service learning course here at the college. I believe that service learning provides students with the chance to engage in their community and really apply what they're learning in class in a real-world environment. I think it's a win-win for our students, our college, and our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Akpovi. Let's roll the next one and see a little bit more about hands-on learning.
Like many of you, I love to build and create from a young age. And in high school, I had the opportunity to work in a small engine clinic, troubleshooting and repairing equipment. I love the task of figuring out what the problem was and then fixing it. I think most of us can probably relate, and I think these are important skills to possess. Skills that I believe will benefit our students, and if we, as teachers, can inspire our students to use those skills to solve some of our most pressing community needs, we all win. I'm Jeremy Wilson, and I've had the pleasure of working with Solve CC students from many backgrounds and disciplines, passing along my knowledge of innovative problem solving and watching them tackle the hard issues that affect our community. We invite you to join us.
videos somehow gives you a glimpse of what Solve CC is trying to do. Let's hear a little bit more about it from two people who are intricately involved with this, and also they can give you some clue as how you can get engaged more. Professor Salah and Dr. Maki.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Weren't those videos great? Thank you, Annalise and Jeremy. Jeremy's voice on there is just amazing, so happy for that. So Jeremy and Annalise are just two of the faculty that are involved in this program. So if there's a few more out there, so if you guys out there that are I3 or ACCT faculty, if you could stand and be acknowledged here. You'll see that you have Purdy Award winners and Grand Purdy Award winners and past Purdy Award winners. So thank you guys. As a reminder, I'm Laura Mackey and I'm the Dean of the School of Science, Engineering, and Math. And one of my favorite jobs as Dean is to support and encourage faculty who, let's face it, often get bogged down in the day-to-day of prepping and paperwork and grading. And I encourage them to also be innovative and create experiences for students that will help them learn and that they will remember for a lifetime. Take a moment and reflect. And remember the feeling when a previous student comes back to thank you for an experience in your class that was life-changing for them. Or maybe there was a person that left a lifelong impression on you. We all want to make that kind of impact on students. Honestly, I'm energized by this experiential learning initiative. The opportunity to collaborate across disciplines and impact students' lives. That's why I came to MJC. I remember the same energy when we launched the first 2 online classes in the spring of 1997. Okay, don't do the math here, but I taught one of them. Like any new method of teaching, many of us had doubts. Would this work? Will students learn? For those of you that were on the journey, can we have WebCT back? Despite those doubts, the energy that was created by the core of faculty and administrators was exhilarating. And just like this experiential learning program, the energy created is contagious and impactful. Back in '97, we never could have imagined online learning exploding like it has today. This time though, I know we're on the forefront of something that will help our students, will change their lives, but also better our community. I encourage you to get involved and would like to welcome all of you to the opening of the brand new MJC Innovation Center and Makerspace. It'll be on West Campus in Yosemite Hall. The Innovation Center will host workforce skills courses, experiential learning faculty mentors will have office hours there, we'll have an entrepreneur in residence, but most importantly, we will have a creative space where students can collaborate, can connect, create prototypes, practice Solve CC pitches like you're going to see in a few minutes, and problem solve to build a better community. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you at the Innovation Center open house later this semester. If you want more information or want to be a part of this amazing project, please contact me or stop by the Innovation Center. Before Dr. B comes back to show some student videos, it's my pleasure to reintroduce the president of the Academic Senate, Aisha.
Hello, everyone. As the Academic Senate President, I do my best to support faculty in as many ways as possible in their work at the college. And getting to help with the MJC Institute and Solve CC has been one of the most enjoyable projects I've been asked to support. The idea of making space for students to be innovative and connect with our community was exhilarating. I knew this work would transform our students by providing them with experiences, opportunities, and community connections that we don't often have the time or resources to create consistently in our classrooms. What I didn't expect was that I too would be transformed by this experience. It started as weekly check-ins with Chad and Moshe, so that I could stay informed on the progress being made and see how Senate might support this important work happening on campus.
These meetings quickly moved from check-ins to brainstorming sessions, and fast forward 9 months or so, and I've joined one of the teams to support one of our students who's working on a community problem that is really important to me growing up in the Valley. They're focused on food insecurity. It's all of you who live in the Valley or grew up in the Valley, it's really sort of shocking to live in an agricultural community and see the amount of food insecurity we have here while we're surrounded by food. And so seeing this student project really touched me, and of course I jumped at the chance to participate. Jessica's not here today, but shout out to Jessica for letting me join her team, for saying yes to the random professor she'd never met, emailing her and asking her to participate in her project. I've realized through this work that something magical has been happening here. We have students, faculty, staff, administrators, the SOLCC team, and community members all coming together to rally around our students as they take the skills they're learning here at MJC and apply them to make meaningful change in our community. It's the community college dream, really. It's what we're all hoping for in the work that we do here, and it's being realized. So I'm so pleased to be here while these students are being recognized for their hard work and dedication, and I really hope that this will inspire more faculty to get involved. I'm hoping you won't be able to resist the same thing that happened to me once I found out more about it. So on that note, I'll turn it back over to Dr. B.
Thank you, Aisha and Laura. What is the best testament of something that when we can get to witness the result or the outcome of what the students have done? You heard about students were talking about identifying a challenge in the community and then eventually going on to solve it. We are at a place where we can share with you 4 challenges that the students have identified. Let's roll the videos. Let's see what the audience thinks about this quality of videos and what the students have done.
My name is Jessica Barentine, and I'm a part of the team, The Stand. The Stand would like to help our community by addressing a very serious issue that affects many, and that's food insecurity. While there are certain food programs that help to fill the gaps of a common household, it's not enough. It oftentimes doesn't take into consideration things like dietary restrictions, religious restrictions, and leaves a lot of people in need still hungry. The Stand would like to bring farmers markets to areas like MJC that doesn't normally have access to fresh produce. This also allows people that utilize food stamps an opportunity to get fresh produce on a daily basis, or on a regular basis at least. We would really like your help with this, and we really appreciate this opportunity to help our community, and we hope that we can be a part of this together. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, my name is Nicole Goldfashion, and I am a current MJC student and recent graduate of the CNA program.
And my name is Dr. Matthew Edwards, a second-year medical resident physician in internal medicine.
We are Team Smiles for our seniors, and we have identified a serious problem within our community, loneliness and social isolation in our elderly. Senior loneliness is an often overlooked problem within every community in America. Some studies estimate that at least 1 in 3 senior citizens are lonely at least some of the time. This problem does more than just affect their mental and emotional well-being. It takes its toll on their physical health as well.
Seniors who suffer from loneliness have a 59% increased risk of physical and mental health decline. Research has linked loneliness to a higher incidence of health conditions such as hypertension, heart disease, obesity, immunosuppression, cognitive decline, Alzheimer's disease, dementia, depression, anxiety, and even all-cause mortality in senior citizens.
we applied for the Solve CC Challenge because we have seen the devastating impact of loneliness on senior citizens firsthand in our work as healthcare providers. Our goal is to help the seniors in our community and support those who may be experiencing loneliness. We aim to do this through community outreach and volunteer programs and other means such as pet therapy, transportation initiatives aimed at better integrating seniors into the community, and utilization of technology to keep seniors connected with their loved ones. Thank you for taking this time to get to know more about our project, and we look forward to working together with the community to bring more smiles to our seniors.
In 2019, there were roughly 1,400 accidents in Modesto, resulting in 2,000 injuries and 14 fatalities.
It is a problem that is known, but has not been solved by any stakeholders involved.
To compound the problem, Modesto police resources are spread too thin to respond effectively to the sheer number of accidents. According to the Modesto Bee, there are only 5 officers assigned to this duty.
That is not enough. We have interviewed Lieutenant Steve Stanfield of Modesto PD and Francis Baldonado, Assistant Traffic Engineer for Stanislaus County Public Works, to better understand the scope of this issue. Hi, I'm Joel Miller, an engineering student at MJC.
And I'm Jonah Olson, a math major and team leader of 2A4J.
We have learned as a team to research and investigate significant problems in our community.
We applied to Solve CC to use our education to try and make a difference in our community and save lives.
For Solve Community Challenges, we are Team Community Catalysts. Together, we recognize the lack of resources for students pursuing educational growth and experience as a community-wide issue. This is why we entered their first challenge to implement this innovative and dynamic approach of learning known as service learning.
Service learning integrates real-life experience with academia to promote educational success and personal growth. The lack of these resources affects the community by preventing students from becoming active learners by limiting their knowledge to classrooms and textbooks.
Let's break it down by context. As a computer science student, the job market for my major is increasingly competitive. However, by being provided with local opportunities, I can enhance my knowledge with real-life failures and successes while aiding my community.
Initially, my team and I were introduced to the lack of service learning resources by Professor Annalise Hausler at Povey as an intimate problem between MJC and the community. However, through the guidance of the Solve CC team, we have come to realize the greater impact on the community at large.
Solve CC can be an opportunity for you too, so grab your friend, go out in your community and explore. Now, networking with Solve CC, we cannot help but feel excited to see what we can achieve together using creativity, mentorship, and experience.
As Team Community Catalysts, we hope to serve as the stimulus to move the conversation around service learning in our community forward and beyond.
You saw the quality of work that the students have done, the guidance from the faculty members. And when I first saw this, I was amazed that how am I going to rank these videos and figure out which project is going to be the number one? Because they all are worthwhile, they all are meaningful, and they all can bring changes in the community. Now, ranking is such a process that we have to find some winners, knowing fully well that there are all 4 are very deserving projects. Next phase, the students would move on to solve these projects that they have identified as problems. And each of these phases would be bringing our students and the community together. There are incentives for the students, cash rewards, and also some national as well as state recognition. First of all, let me talk about the 2 winners that we have from this. And I am a little bit skeptic. I just got the handwritten notes who are the first and second prize winners or joined first, and I do not want to do an Academy Award faux pas that I announce the wrong ones. The first place, or the two that we have tied for the first place, are Smiles for Seniors and Community Catalysts. Guys, you can stand up, yes. The two teams will share the award money of $2,500. Also, they would travel to Boston to participate in a national conference where we as an institution will pitch for a $50,000 grant and talk about how we can bring the campus and community together via this kind of initiatives. So go team, I wish you all the best. We also do have a statewide competition and recognition coming up in November. Reward money out there is about $20,000. And there will be 100 teams across the state who would participate there. And I am sure all of our students will make us proud. I have taken 3 additional minutes from your time, which I cannot give you back. Thank you so much for your presence here today. I hope you have a rewarding, enjoyable, and fulfilling fall semester. I look forward to connecting with each one of you and talk to you and get to know how we can improve our students' lives. Oh no. When I have Brian next to me, I'm like, okay, something is coming. My apologies, I did not make the announcement, Brian. Please, stage is yours. Thank you, guys.
Faculty members, if you haven't scanned in, this is our new way of trying to make Flex activities easy for you. Grab your phone, log in. You're here. We're going to put that in the Flex system. Hopefully, it's much better for you. Last order of business for the day before lunch. I think we got a few more T-shirts and we're out.